We begin this afternoon with breaking news. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says President Trump has ordered additional federal resources to Portland in response to ongoing protests outside the ICE facility near the South waterfront. That includes additional Homeland Security, Customs and Border Patrol and ICE personnel. Thank you for joining us. I'm China Green. Leavitt accused Antifa of carrying out violent attacks in Portland and said that the president is considering cutting federal aid to Oregon if local leaders, quote, allow anarchy.
What's been allowed to happen in Portland, and we saw disturbing video footage of this last night, this is not peaceful protesting, this is left-wing anarchy that has been destroying this great American city for years, leaving police officers battered, citizens terrorized, and business properties damaged.
She said the president is serious about restoring order, but criticized Oregon leaders for not working with the federal government. Also breaking right now, a court hearing just ended in a lawsuit brought by the state of Oregon to block the Trump administration from deploying national troop guards to Portland. KGW's Thomas Schultz is in the newsroom with the latest. Thomas.
Hey, China. Yeah, no decision has been made yet, but we could get an update from the judge later today or tomorrow on her hearing. Her ruling will come down to one question. Is there an emergency in Portland? If there is, President Trump can send in troops. Judge Karen Emmergut says she must give the president a great level of deference if there is an emergency and federal troops are needed. Lawyers for the U.S. Department of Justice claim 200 National Guardsmen are needed to protect federal agents at the ICE facility from attacks by protesters. Attorneys for the state of Oregon say there's no need for them. They say Portland police have seen dwindling protests outside the ICE facility in recent months, and add any deployment of troops would be based on a fictional narrative.
Can use or federalize the military in our cities or in our country when there's an invasion by foreign forces. Makes a ton of sense. If there's a rebellion or threat of a rebellion, and that's what the federal government is arguing right now, that here in Portland, you look around, that this is a rebellion going on right here in Oregon, and it's obviously not.
Now that right there was Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield. Attorneys for the federal government argued in court today that there is a persistent record of violence outside the ICE facility and claim protesters have used flashlights to blind drivers of vehicles. Those same attorneys say local law enforcement has not been able to adequately respond to problems. That's a stance that's been refuted by Portland Police Chief Bob Day and Multnomah County District Attorney Nathan Vasquez. Judge Emmergut says she hopes to have a decision whether or not to pause troop deployments again by the end of today or tomorrow. China.
Thomas, thank you for breaking that down for us. And speaking of the ICE facility, Portland police say 5 people were arrested after tensions flared last night. The names of those arrested are 49-year-old Angela Davis of Vernonia, 43-year-old Sun Mi Yi of Portland, and 27-year-old conservative influencer Nicholas Sorter of Washington, D.C., all on disorderly conduct charges. According to the White House, the Department of Justice spoke with Sorter this morning, and they will be launching a full investigation into his arrest. Our team also spoke with some protesters who say they came to counter the Trump administration's narrative of violence in the Rose City.
The idea that this is even national news is already kind of silly. The idea that it's treated as a national threat is absolutely bonkers crazy.
Today, Portland police posted on X referencing some of its arrests last night, saying, as with all such situations, arrests are based on observed behavior and probable cause, not political affiliation or public profile. Formal charges will be determined by the Multnomah County District Attorney's Office. And coming up tonight at 4 o'clock, we will have a live update from the federal courthouse on the outcome of today's hearing, as well as a live report from the ICE facility to check in on what's happening there. In the meantime, you can find the latest right here on air, online at KGW.com, and on our streaming app, KGW+. All right, let's head over to Chris McGinnis to take a look at weather now.
China, we've been waiting for the sun to come out. It's out at the beach. This is a live look right now from our Chinook Winds Casino Resort camera in Lincoln City. Cascade Head off in the distance. We're clear there. We'll switch gears and take it to the state capitol, where in the last 30 minutes or so, we've poked a lot of holes in that cloud cover. So that cloud deck finally starting to erode. It's taking its sweet time here in downtown, but it will eventually clear like it is out in the Dalles right now. A gorgeous afternoon out there. A little bit of a breeze picking up as well. All right, here's a look at the visible satellite imagery, and you can see the I-5 corridor, especially from Salem north through Portland and up, up into Cowlitz County, and then continuing northward, actually up towards the Olympia area. We've been socked in low clouds and fog this morning, but from all edges here, we are slowly eroding that, and so that will be the trend as we go through the remainder of our afternoon. We're already starting to see a few, very few blue patches over downtown. It's 56 last check at PDX. Elsewhere right now, we're 59 in Forest Grove, Wilsonville sitting at 54. And at last check, Salem sitting at 55 degrees. So a coolish noon hour. Temperatures will get a little bit of a bump once that sun comes out, and I do expect us getting into the upper 60s this afternoon. China, slight chance of some sprinkles that are forecast tomorrow. A better Sunday, of course, for the Portland Marathon, and a 7-day forecast that actually looks really, really nice. More on that in a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Chris. A traffic control worker is in the hospital with serious injuries after they were hit by a vehicle on I-84. Authorities say the person, potentially a flagger, was hit around 9 o'clock last night. Police say the driver crashed into a barrier. That driver is cooperating in the investigation. Meantime, Washington County detectives have identified the human remains found in the Tualatin River this summer. A kayaker discovered body parts near Rood Bridge Park on August 8th. And more were found the next day as well. Investigators confirm that they are the remains of 34-year-old Ezequiel Avia Ruiz, who was last seen in Hillsborough on July 31st. Detectives believe he was the victim of a homicide and are asking anyone with information to come forward. It is day 3 of the government shutdown, and another Senate vote is expected today as lawmakers try to resolve the funding stalemate. So what does this mean for day-to-day services and your finances? Well, at airports like PDX, most operations are still moving. TSA says about 61,000 of its 64,000 employees are considered essential and still on the job. U.S. Customs and Border Protection agents are also working, so flights are running normally for now. Social Security offices are also remain open in Oregon and Southwest Washington. Those services are limited. And the Better Business Bureau is warning people to be cautious with financial transactions tied to the government, like loans, refunds, or payments.
If you're waiting on some sort of processing through the federal government and somebody reaches out and they say, hey, I can help expedite this for you for a fee, that's a big red flag to watch out for. That's one of the common imposter schemes that we see. And we say avoid that. They're not legitimate. They can't actually help make the government shutdown go faster, essentially.
In the last major shutdown in 2019, the economy lost about $11 billion. Experts say the longer this one lasts, the more everyday Americans will feel it. We have an update on students' performance in Oregon classrooms. For years, kids have struggled to make up for the lost learning during the pandemic. Sunrise reporter Thomas Schultz has more after crunching the numbers.
Well, the state numbers are a little bit better than last year, but they're still a ways off from where they would like them to be. The Oregon Department of Education found that 43% of kids across the state are proficient in English. That's a little bit better than a year ago. And Oregon students have really struggled to bounce back after COVID shuttered many classrooms for more than a year. Oregon schools stayed closed longer than many other school districts. And students are recovering from lost learning at a slower rate than others around the country. In math, just 31.5% of Oregon kids are proficient. That is a slight improvement from a year ago, when 31% of kids were proficient in math. But in both English and math, students are far behind where they were pre-pandemic. Still, some of the largest school districts in the state, like Portland Public, have seen some improvement after allocating a lot of resources to recovering that lost learning.
We understand that our COVID babies are coming to us with more screen time sometimes than teacher time, and we're working to try to close those gaps.
In the state's second biggest district, Salem-Keizer, English scores are up for many grade levels. In math, they've seen slight improvement too, but the big thing here, only 20% of Salem-Keizer students are proficient in math. Across the state, it's about a third of students. Reading scores are a little bit better, and while there is progress, there's still a lot of work to go. In Portland, Thomas Schultz, KGW News.